So now we get to pretend like we haven't even spoken today. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. It is what it is, man. And I was like so pissed because I was like, man, that was a great conversation, And like now it's like we got to fake everything. But thanks for responding so quickly and getting this taken care of, and we can actually get through this. And we got to promo
well,
the band,
luckily,
man.
luckily we know each other, and actually it won't be faking it because we know each other, and it's just a redo. And luckily, I'm glad you sent me that email because I had a few things to finish up, and then I was getting ready to start on something else, and that I could actually put aside, and that worked out perfectly. So it's great.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I was like, I was all excited to talk to you today, and after having so many years gone by, not seeing you since V's wedding, and then I get to talk to you twice in one day. This is just awesome, man.
That's right.
So since none of this got on tape last time, we'll go just kind of try get through these questions here. I know that you had some problems. I follow you on Facebook and in the media and what's out there, and I know that since Ronnie's passing, you had some rough times there, but you're doing better now. Things are
Yes.
looking up.
Yes, I lost a lot when we lost Ronnie. And like I said, it's just him and I were friends. He was family. That band was run like a family. And him and I were friends, and we had a very close relationship. I do realize that I'm not, every Dio fan's favorite guitarist, but he was my friend, and he was my family.
Mm-hmm.
And when we lost him, I lost, a lot. I started drinking too much and eating too much, and like I said, all that did was teach my sorrows how to swim, and I ended up looking like Kirstie Alley and Meatloaf's love child. and But luckily, I lost 30 pounds, and I still got a long way to go. But I'm losing the weight, and I feel better than ever. I've been playing better than ever. I'm writing better than ever. And I did a couple of songs as my own personal tribute to Ronnie a couple of years ago, and the singer that sang on those did such an amazing job that it really started to bring it all back for me, because I just did not have any inspiration whatsoever to work with another singer or to try that whole band thing all over again. The wind was just knocked right out of my sails. Mm-hmm. And then when Mark Huff came along and sang on those songs, it was like, wow, he did such a great job. And actually, as a matter of fact, if anybody's interested, there is a website, Craig Goldy's personal tribute, that has those two songs on them, available for download. And for each, I forgot to say that, for each download that's purchased, a donation is made to his cancer research fund. But I am going to email you those personally because you're my friend.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, that's good to know for anybody who wants to hear that, and especially that it's going to go to a good cause. I mean, it's cancer. I tell you, and I didn't mention this before. I just found out last night that my brother-in-law's got cancer.
Wow.
We got a call late last night. And just out of nowhere, we didn't expect that, and so he's scared to death, and his wife is, and I'm like, yeah, and that brought back a lot of memories, just from Ronnie, and dealing with, that. And while I knew Ronnie, but I wasn't really close with him, but we went to the shows and we hung out and we talked, and I'll always appreciate, him giving me the time that he did, and the first time we ever interviewed him, it was what launched this magazine.
That's right.
It cracks me up because we were on the bus and I was just this hyper, fan from so long, and I had so many questions, and I remember Willie coming on and saying, "Hey Ron, there's more people that need to talk to you," and he goes, "Yeah, they'll wait," and he gave me I talked to him for almost 90 minutes. Who does that? I don't think I've ever had an interview that long since then, so.
Yeah, that certainly is. That's who that man was. I mean, he was the first and last of his kind. He did have a way of making you feel like you were the most important person in the room, and he made you feel like a friend, even though it was the first time you ever met. Treated you like an equal, look you right in the eye, put you right at ease. And if anything turn around and become your servant. Hey, can I get you anything to drink? Can I do anything for you? I mean, getting backstage to a Dio concert for a lot of people was like, getting the golden ticket in the chocolate bar for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Right.
The next thing you know, you get a chance to go to the kingdom and meet the king. And then when you do, he turns it all around and becomes your servant. He's like, can I get you a drink? Can I do anything for you? And he just blows people's minds with kindness and caring and giving and sharing his time and his heart, and that was not just good customer service. It was just the person he was.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Great memories, man. Just great memories. I mean, we'll have those forever. That's just the awesome thing about it. But yeah, it's rough. Like I mentioned before. When we spoke, my wife wasn't a fan at the beginning. And he's always been my favorite. So I've dealt with troubles and the struggle in my own way. I mean, I haven't been to any of the Dio Disciples concerts because it's too painful, and my wife feels the same way. I mean, she went from totally on her guard and what's this guy all about to crying at his concerts, and just loving him so much. I mean, I kid you not, that she doesn't have that effect. I mean, nobody else has that effect on her. I mean, she doesn't cry at just anybody's concerts. He was it. So.
Well, yeah, he's got a way. There's something about the way he sings. The inflections in his voice. Because when he's, at least for me, anyways, and I'm sure the rest of the world, that's why one of the many reasons why they love him and his voice and his music so much, is the things that you could hear hurt in his voice. You could hear pain. You could hear anger. You could hear happiness. You could hear humor. You could hear all of that in his voice, because the way he sang, what hurt him, what it was singing about that hurt him seemed to be the things that hurt us. And so we all hurt together. He was the voice of the downtrodden and the black sheep of the globe, and that kind of music called to us. And like I said in many interviews, that I came from an abusive family, physically and verbally, and left home at the age of 14, was living on the streets, and he was the voice I turned to. And next thing you know, I'm headlining 20,000-seat arenas side by side with my favorite singer, and we're performing music that we wrote together. And so it was just absolutely amazing, a dream come true. And he was there's no one like him. But on top of it all, I want to give you some hope, because I know that you said was your brother-in-law. You said
yes.
Yeah, because there's still hope. I mean, because there's a lot of breakthroughs lately, and I know a lot of people. In fact, a very good friend of mine just had to have brain surgery and came through it fine. A family member, breast cancer, came through it fine. I mean, there's a lot of friends of mine have had cancer. A lot of people have beaten it. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of people, but a lot of people have beaten it. So there is hope. So We'll pray for your brother-in-law.
Appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you. So, you said you may not be everybody's favorite Dio guitar player, but you happen to be mine, and I'm not just saying that because I know you, man. When I was a kid, before I knew you, Dream Evil came out, and I was like, wow. I was a Dio fan, but that came out, and that has become, at that time when it came out, that, and since has been my favorite Dio album of all time. Just really loved that one. And so, of course, when you rejoined the band for Magica, I was just like ecstatic, it was awesome. So the cool thing, moving on, is that you're still at it, man. You're still putting music out. You've got this new album, Resurrection Kings, coming out. I know when I listened to it, I kind of, grabbed onto the closest thing that you've done. So I heard a lot of Dio stuff in there. I heard some Giuffria stuff. And then started to think, well, beyond that, what would it be? And so actually you'd mentioned it in the recording that didn't record, that there was a Foreigner, and I was like, man, I was just going to say that too. Yeah, Foreigner and like a Heavy Metal Journey or something like that. And this music is very timeless. I mean, it's never going to go away. It's never going to go out of style. It's a solid bet. There are people out there that are like, well, it's the same old hat, but I don't think very many people are looking for a reinvention of the wheel these days. I mean, I don't, what's your thoughts on
Well,
that?
that's true. That's a very good point you bring up. That's exactly it. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, but at the same time, people are tired of the same old, same old. And somewhere in the middle lies the answer, and I think that's what we tried to do, and I think we were successful with this on Resurrection Kings. A lot of it really just comes from the heart. It really comes from your dedication and your passion, because I did want to create music that was familiar enough to get a warm welcome on the first listen, but different enough to seem fresh. And so I love Journey, I love Foreigner, I love obviously Deep Purple and Rainbow and Whitesnake, and I love a lot of the Dio music that I had no part of, just because Ronnie was my favorite singer and he always will be. So I really never got a chance to mix all those elements together, except for my very first solo album. Touched on that a little bit, but I like the nasty kind of sexy guitar playing that John Sykes did in some of the Whitesnake songs that never really was an element that belonged inside of Rainbow or Deep Purple. But there was a lot of stuff that went on in Deep Purple that never existed inside of Whitesnake. And same thing with Foreigner, and same thing with Journey, and same thing with Pink Floyd, and and Genesis. And so it was my opportunity to kind of mix those genres together, and not really just say that, a new mixture of already existing entities automatically means it's unique. That's not true. A new mixture of already existing entities does not constitute uniqueness. But what it is really is just an honest and a genuine contribution from all the bands that I loved and was influenced by, and given an opportunity to mix those sounds and genres together into one. And I think the one that really sums it up the most for me is the song Living Out Loud and the song Falling for You.
Mm-hmm. Very cool, man. Very cool, yeah. It's funny. I'm sorry, you caught me off guard a little bit. You said something, and I have to go back here. It sounded like a Ronnie lyric. You said, how did you phrase it? Somewhere in the middle lies the answer. It totally sounds like a Ronnie lyric. I'm like, right on, man. Yeah.
I suppose by being around him long enough, a little bit's going to rub off.
It's rubbing off, man. I'm like, there you go. There's your next song right there, man. Somewhere. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, man, I'm digging this album. I mean, it's just, and I put it on and rocking out to it, and we get so much stuff that comes across my desk, and it's a breath of fresh air, a break from the death metal and the hardcore and everything. And my wife just absolutely loves it. She was like, "Who's that?" And I said, "It's Craig's new band." And she's like, "Really? Okay, yeah, this is cool."
Oh, that's really good to know. That's really, really good to know, because I understand what you mean by that. We mentioned that before. My girlfriend Lisa, I mean, her and I have been together for 5 years, but we're best friends. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like I place, everything I do for my career, resting on her shoulders and what she says and what she approves or disapproves of. It's not like that. It's because we're best friends. And so it's nice when you can share something together. And when the two of you go, hey, that's great, it just means it makes it even more enjoyable. It's not like you're being ruled by your wife. It's nice that you two kind of go, hey, check this out. Yeah, I dig this too. So that's nice, and thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's I always look at it this, because I get accused of being biased about a lot of stuff, which I am. So I kind of look to her as my second voice. Make sure I'm just not coming from a biased perspective. I mean, is this crap? Is it good? Is it worth time?
Right. I understand.
Yeah.
And it's good that you have someone like that you can trust. And because I'm sure, she's going to tell you the truth.
Oh yeah. She tells me the truth all the time. Sometimes I don't want to hear the truth, man.
Yeah, I get that too. I get the truth. Sometimes it's not so nice, but at least it's the truth, and that's what makes it nice.
Yeah. So the title of, or the name of the band rather, Resurrection Kings, is kind of, I see that as like a metaphorical type thing. You're resurrecting, coming back, bringing that vibe of the '80s and that passion that Ronnie gave you, and moving on. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But what's the perspective that you're coming from with the name of the band, and also lyrically? What type of things do you tackle on this? Is it relevant to today and what's going on in the world? Is it an escape to the past? I mean, where are you coming from?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. And starting with the title, yeah, I mean the band name, it is metaphorical, I believe, and that's what I like about that name. I like band names that mean something and sound cool at the same time. It's okay if the band name doesn't mean anything but still sounds cool, but in this instance, it does have a metaphorical meaning, and it sounds cool. It was something that Sean McNabb came up with when we were kind of looking for names, because the record company loved that song "Living Out Loud" so much. The band and the album was going to be called "Living Out Loud." And then lyrically, that song was a little bit about what I was going through. You know, it was just basically about encouraging people. You know, that when you're down, you know, it's not over yet. And I was told by a very wise man. I think this was a really cool little story that he told me, and that's where this song came from. Is that you know, the apple seed never asks the tomato seed, "What shall I become?" Because what it has is already inside of it. But if you place that seed inside of a crystal vase on top of a mantelpiece inside of a mansion on the hill, it's just going to do nothing but dry out and never become what it was meant to be. So it has to be placed inside of the dark, cold ground. And so if a seed had a mind and a voice and an attitude, it would be like, what the heck is all this about? You know, I was just in a mansion, you know, in a crystal vase on a mantelpiece in a mansion on a hill. What's this dirt all about? What's this all about? No, get me out of here. But that's sometimes what it takes in order for that seed to take root and sprout and become what it was meant to become. And so in a way, that's kind of what Living Out Loud was about, and what the name Resurrection Kings means is that it's not over yet. You haven't been buried, you've been planted.
Right. Right. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I get that. Words of wisdom. Craig the philosopher here. That's awesome, man. No, that's a good story, actually. Very wise story. And encouraging, definitely encouraging, even for myself. You know, I mean, that's one thing is, you know, so many people throw in the towel. You know, when the going gets tough, so many people have problems. You know, and I commend you for being one of those people who stand the test of time and continue to push forward. I mean, you're involved in, of course, you got Resurrection Kings, you got Dio Disciples. I know you did a thing recently with Giuffria. I don't know if there's going to be more with Giuffria or not. That would be cool, but...
Well, actually, yeah. Frontiers has asked Dave Isley and I to put together an album in the Giuffria-esque type of vein, so that's going to come out this year as well. And I'm very excited about that, too.
Well, you're just busy, man.
Well, yes, and I'm gratefully so. And, you know, there's Dio Disciples. We're going to be doing an original album this year. We've already started on that. It's going to be fantastic. I got my own band. Then there's Resurrection Kings. There's a thing I'm doing with David Isley. And then there's this band called Black Knights Rising with Vinny Appice, where we've done concerts with Ripper Owens and Jolyn Turner. And we have this guy, John West, who's amazing. And we might even do some original material with that. But it's just been really great because in those dark times, you know, I saw a documentary, and they showed in time-lapse photography when a seed was planted in soil, they purposely put nutrients in two sections of the planter. One had more nutrients than the other, and when the seed started to sprout inside the soil, it actually went towards one, and then went back towards the other, and then went back towards the one that had the most nutrients. It was almost as if in time-lapse photography you could see a seed sprouting, choosing which portion of the soil would have the most rich nutrients in order for it to grow. So in a way, that's kind of what I was doing without even knowing it. In my dark times, you know, of Ronnie's passing and not knowing what to do, and in my searching, you know, little did I know, you know, I was searching for the most potent nutrients to sprout and come back. And lo and behold, there's some of these projects that are getting ready to happen and this Resurrection Kings that's coming out on the 29th are all things that I can be proud of and that I believe in. And I'm very, very fortunate and very, very grateful to have the opportunity to start again, because the global marketplace has once again smiled upon the 80s-based music, and it's given us all an opportunity to start over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the 80s were the heyday of metal, I mean, and to lose that is to kind of, I see these things online now where they take all the old 80s metal bands and call it old dad rock and compare it to the new stuff, and I don't think these kids actually know how to spell metal, let alone what metal is. I'm sorry, but I just can't.
That's funny. No, it's.
I mean.
No, I understand. I mean, because there's, I mean, I love kids and I love people and I don't want to judge anybody, but there is a generation of children. I'm not going to name names and I'm not going to say anything, but there is like a little generation of kids that are like little, techno wussies. I mean, they think that the world owes them everything. They won't do anything unless it's the optimum situation, and they need the greatest and latest technology before they'll even take one step forward, and it's just amazes me how these parents have turned from what used to be in our generation, you get spanked and okay, well that I won't do that again, to parents are now raising their children, giving them options like, now don't cut the cat's head off now, okay? It's like, what are you doing? So yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. But luckily there are some good people out there, and there is still some, I think there's some new music, hopefully, and thank God for Guitar Hero, because that kind of introduced our kind of music to a younger generation. I went to Russia a couple of years ago, and with a couple of guys from the 80s, Black Sabbath guys and AC/DC guys, and we were fully expecting a bunch of, gray-haired grandpas, in the audience, and it was a bunch of 16, 17-year-old kids. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of kids that are growing up and discovering this music for the first time, and God bless them. So there is hope that a new generation will be sprouted from this, and this will continue on and not just die off, as the rest of us get older.
Yeah, no, definitely, man, and I know there is definitely hope. I get encouraged every time I get encouraged and depressed at the same time. I turn on, the internet and get on Facebook, and I see some video of some prodigy 6-7-year-old kid shredding Eddie Van Halen or Randy Rhoads or somebody, and I'm just like, that's amazing, and I might as well just give up now. I mean, why even try? They make it look so damn easy, and it's not. But
I know. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's scary. Yeah, and they do. They make it seem effortless, and God bless them, but I mean, dear Lord, I had to work for that,
Right, exactly. So, there is hope. I mean, and as long as there's kids coming out playing that type of stuff with that skill level and not just relying on, whatever new toys come out to make you sound good, or, and vocals especially. I mean, you and I mean, fans of Ronnie, I mean, and these kids just want to scream and yell and use auto-tune, and it's just like, man, it's not even a human voice anymore. It's just noise. And I'm not old, because there's a lot of new stuff that's coming out that I totally dig, but there's a lot of crap too, man. It's really hard to weed it out.
Yes. But luckily for us, that good is good and bad is bad, and there's always going to be, almost like like the Constitution, has the strict representation of it and then the liberal representation of it, but it's still the same document, We have, McDonald's and we have Jack in the Box, and then we have, Black Angus and, and the Red Lobsters, and, so we have similar things going on in music where, there's rock stars and then there's musicians, and
right.
There's geniuses, and then there's just people who just happen to fall into it, accidentally and can't even play a note, but they're a rock star and they're famous. But they know who they are, and we know who they are. But everybody has a place because we're human. I eat at McDonald's,
mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I love a good, healthy meal, So I believe that, that people know what good music is, and for this, if there weren't so many people willing to buy crap, there wouldn't be so much crap for sale, for one thing.
That's true. That's true. Another philosophical statement. There you go.
But there's a school out here called Rock Stars of Tomorrow that I'm merging with my program, that Destiny Bridge. I went and saw some of their prodigies. Talk about prodigies, man! These little 8-year-old kids were like singing like they've been like watching the Stevie Wonder and the Michael Jackson rebirth of the two of them, and these little 8-9-year-old kids.
Wow.
And so I think good music, we all, we're just human. We're gonna yearn for that. So there's always gonna be a place for it, I think. And hopefully, I created a program where starts off with a book that kind of tells people the process that's involved and how to reach people, because there's a process involved in writing songs that touch people in such a way that makes them have to have that music and not just give you a "Dude, you rock" comment on your Facebook page. The internet has changed things drastically, and thank God that record companies are not obsolete. Thank you, Frontiers, and all the other record companies that are hanging in there strong. Mm-hmm. And going it alone on the internet isn't the cure-all either. Because once you choose to market yourself on the internet and bypass the record companies, you become the record company yourself. So you have to know how to market yourself successfully. And if you don't, that's what you're going to end up with, is just a bunch of "Dude, you rock" comments on your Facebook page. But the process that's involved in reaching people's hearts and punching them right smack in the soul so hard that they just got to have that music, that process is still the same, and it always will be, until the day we become cyborgs.
Well, let's hope that's not for a long while. I'm a sci-fi fan, but I don't want to live in it. I'm all for watching Terminator. So as long as it doesn't become reality, we're good.
Yeah, that's right.
So. Yeah, I was wondering. I forgot to ask you about your Destiny's Bridge program. I mean, that's still going strong. That's good to know. Man.
Yeah, it's just mainly meant, because like when a girl brings her boyfriend home to meet her father, and she's, and before that, the father says, "Well, what does he do?" And she says, "He's a musician." All the blood in his face just drains. Or if he says, "Well, what does your boyfriend do?" "Well, he's a doctor," or "He's a lawyer." He's jumping for joy. Mm-hmm. The only difference between doctors and lawyers and us is that doctors and lawyers have a place to go to learn everything they need to know before they become doctors and lawyers. There's no such thing for musicians. And so I'm trying to create that with my book to show, give everybody all the knowledge that they could possibly need before they start. Right. And then there's record companies and managers and agents and internet marketing strategy people who can help them if they want to bypass the record companies. They can learn how to, successfully market themselves on the internet. Even though they think they're not part of the music industry, the whole point is if you want to sell original music for a profit, that is the music industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whether you think you're in it or not. Once you start that endeavor, there you're in the music industry, one way or the other. So it shows them how to become successful, and gives them everything they need to know. Yeah. And because it's so competitive and it's so difficult to try to break into the music industry and to just to get noticed. And so most people, when they get the slightest bit of inside information, the last thing they do is share it. Yeah. Because when they share that information, they're creating their own competition with the person they just shared that information with. And to an extent, that's true. But I think there's room for everybody. Everybody who's born in this world has a special purpose and a special gift, and that's why we all have our own fingerprint, and that's why we're all different. We're all unique. So we all have something to say, and we all have something to do. So some people may not be, a Stevie Wonder or a Michael Jackson or a David Coverdale or a Gary Gilmore or a Ritchie Blackmore, but they might be so good that they don't have to spend the rest of their life working behind a desk. And there's nothing wrong with working behind a desk. There's nothing wrong with 9-to-5 jobs. But there should be a place for everybody. You should be able to operate at your fullest potential. You should be able to be what you are meant to be, and have what I'm trying to do is remove as many obstacles as possible that can get in the way. Right,
definitely. And I know that, so many musicians, out there just want to be musicians, but you kind of have to have a little bit of business mind in this game. And I remember Ronnie actually talking with him and him saying that to me that all he ever wanted to do is be the bass player in the band, and of course he ended up running the whole show and being the singer and writing. And if you want to go somewhere, you kind of gotta you gotta push it through. So yeah, man. I'm glad that the program's still going and that you're offering that. It is definitely something that's needed. We also need to see you play live, man. So what projects out of these bands that you're doing, are you going to be touring live with Resurrection Kings, with and your solo band? What's going on with the hitting the road and getting out there and playing some live music?
Well, luckily, this album, Resurrection Kings, came out so well that we're also impressed with how it came out, that we are currently in negotiations with managers and agents to put together a tour to support it, and we all would like to do another one. The Dio Disciples are going to be playing on the Monsters of Rock cruise, but we're also going to be recording a record and doing some touring, and that project, Black Knights Rising, is going to be doing some stuff, and I'm finishing up the music for my own band. So there's plenty of stuff going on, but live, the first thing that most likely will be happening live will be Dio Disciples on the Monsters of Rock cruise in February, and then me, Vinny Appice, Rudy Sarzo, Doogie White, and the keyboard player that I'm working with, who also works with Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock, we're going to be going to Russia in April. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and but hopefully we'll be able to put something together so that way the Resurrection Kings can come out and tour in support of this album, because we certainly want to.
Yeah. At least do an album release party in L.A., damn it, so that I can go. I'm like, Russia, Monsters of Rock Cruise. Okay, that's just a little out of my way, man. But,
slightly,
yeah, it would be great to see you play, man. And I think I mentioned Veronica. I've been working with her, and she's got her solo album out now. It's not as heavy as I like,
right.
But commercial. It'd be good to see you guys play. And I'm working with this other band I mentioned too, that I'm trying to put the two and two together.
Right.
And actually they're kind of like a Queensryche band. I'll send you some of their stuff later on or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
About that. But man, thank you again for doing a follow up and saving my ass here. And
no, I was happy to do it. I was happy to do it because you're a good guy, you're a good friend, and you've been doing this for a long time. You have a gift, and I'm happy to do it. And thank you for letting me know what was going on, and we were able to re-record. It was perfect.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, nothing worse than contacting the publicist back and saying, about that interview, I kind of didn't record, and which I sent an email to John, and he was going to see about getting some other dates, but I'll just shoot him an email back and let him know that it's all taken care of. But thanks again, Craig, and we'll stay in touch, and God bless you, man. We'll be praying for you, and can't wait to see you do some of this stuff live.
Well, thank you, Dave. God bless you, too. I'll be praying for you and your brother-in-law. And let's stay in touch. I've got your email, and you've got mine, and I'll be sending you those 2 songs, too.
Sounds good, man. Okay.
Okay,
have a
thank
good
you,
one,
Dave.
Thank you.
You, too.
Bye now.
All right.